Welcome to my channel. Try to hear the latest story.
My spouse declared we should part ways before I lost my self-respect, then left with a stranger I'd never encountered and boasted about it in a private chat group. I didn't challenge her. Instead, I took the initiative, secured our finances, and sent her attorney a polite copy of the chat records. Within 3 days, her entire plan unraveled, and her lawyer was the one desperately reaching out to me. I can still picture her face when she said it. No anger, no sorrow, just indifference. We should part ways before you lose your self-respect. She was seated at our kitchen table on a Sunday morning, coffee mug paused midair. Nonchalant, as if she were suggesting we visit a new cafe. 8 years of marriage erased in a single sentence. I asked the obvious question. Why? We're not the same people anymore, she replied, placing her mug carefully on the coaster. I need things you can't provide. She didn't clarify what those things were. She didn't have to. The night before, while she was showering, a notification flashed on her phone. A message from someone labeled T with a dark heart emoji. Can't wait to see you again. Next weekend feels too far. I'd never snooped through her phone before, never had a reason to. But that night, a cold certainty settled in my gut. She'd come home late from a girls' night, wearing a fragrance she hadn't used that morning. After she dropped her bombshell and left for an urgent meeting, I did what any cybersecurity expert would do. I backed up our home network data. Our router tracks every device connection. Our shared cloud storage retains deleted files for a month. Our security cameras store footage for 2 months. I'm not possessive by nature, never was. But I am meticulous. What I uncovered wasn't shocking, just thorough. Location data showed her at a city hotel 6 times in the past 4 weeks. Text exchanges with her friend Sarah plotting her exit plan with T. Calendar entries marked as lunch that matched her phone's location at that hotel. Most incriminating was a private group chat on a messaging app, synced to our shared tablet. A device she'd forgotten was linked to her account. For months, her 3 closest friends had been her cheerleaders as she described her fling with T, a yoga instructor from her gym, the polar opposite of dull, predictable Ethan. Does he suspect anything? One friend asked. Ethan's too caught up in his tech work to notice, she replied, tossing in a smirking emoji. We hardly talk anymore. When the divorce is done, he'll probably just shrug and dive back into his code. Another gem. T says I can move in once the papers are filed. His place is tiny, but we'll make it work. Haha. And the clincher, sent 3 days earlier. Meeting with Laura tomorrow. She crushed her sister's divorce and obliterated the ex Ethan won't see it coming. Laura, her old college friend, now a divorce lawyer notorious for targeting high-income spouses. I saved screenshots of it all, downloaded every file, then restored her phone exactly as I'd found it and placed it back on her nightstand. That evening, she came home late again, casually mentioning a weekend trip to visit her cousin out of state. Her phone's location sharing, which she never turned off, would likely show her at T's apartment instead. I nodded, wished her a good trip, and returned to my work. The next morning, I called a colleague, Mark, a top divorce attorney I'd worked with before. I laid out the situation, sent him the evidence. Damn, Ethan, he said after reviewing it. She's setting you up for a brutal takedown next week. Laura's playbook is to file for emergency support orders with inflated claims, catching the husband off guard. So what's the plan? I asked. We file first, today, and we do it discreetly. While my wife was at her midday yoga class, her phone's location confirmed the hotel. I signed the papers in Mark's office. By mid-afternoon, we'd filed for divorce citing infidelity, with all evidence neatly attached as exhibits. Then came the strategic move. Mark sent a brief email to Laura. I'm representing Ethan Carter in his divorce from Julia Carter. Attached is our filing from today, along with a sample of the documentation regarding your client's extramarital conduct. The sample included chat screenshots naming Laura and outlining their strategy. That evening, Julia came home unusually cheerful, mentioning late work hours for a major project. I nodded, wished her luck, and said I'd be swamped with work too. That night, while she slept, I secured our finances methodically, avoiding anything legally questionable. I removed her access to my personal credit card, not our joint one, transferred my latest paycheck, unspent on household expenses, to my pre-marriage personal account, and updated passwords on our investment portfolios to block any sudden withdrawals. Mark confirmed these steps were legal in our state. The next morning, After she left for work, Mark texted. Laura called. Wants to discuss options before formal service. I smiled and carried on with my day. Around noon, Julia's texts started coming. Did you mess with the visa? It's declined. Why can't I log into the Fidelity account? Ethan, call me now. I replied only to the last. In meetings all day. What's up? No response. At 3:22 p.m., she called. I let it go to voicemail. Her message was curt, we need to talk. I'm heading home. I texted back, working late. Tomorrow's better. This bought me time to finalize my preparations. I packed essentials into a suitcase, moved it to my car, set up mail forwarding, and backed up all financial records. I checked into a hotel that night, ignoring her increasingly urgent texts. The next morning, Julia was served divorce papers at her workplace. The process server said she paled, then rushed outside to make a call. Half an hour later, Mark called. Laura wants a meeting, says it's a misunderstanding and wants to settle amicably. What shifted? I asked, already knowing. Laura didn't realize how much evidence you had. She's worried about ethics violations since her name's in those chats. She's pushing for a quick settlement. I thought about the years I'd poured into our marriage, the dreams we'd shared, the future I trusted. Tell her we'll meet tomorrow. No hurry. That day, my phone lit up with calls. From Julia, unknown numbers, even her father. I answered none. I switched hotels, ordered dinner, and slept soundly for the first time in weeks. The next day's meeting was short. Julia avoided my gaze. Laura was all business. Mark laid out our terms. Equitable asset split based on contributions. No spousal support, clean break, minimal fuss, preliminary agreement within 3 days to set intentions, with final proceedings to follow standard timelines. Your client keeps her reputation intact, Mark said. My client moves on without a drawn-out fight. Win-win. After a hushed discussion, Laura agreed. We'll review and respond by tomorrow. Julia finally spoke, her voice strained. Can we talk alone? I glanced at Mark, who gave a slight nod. There's nothing to say, I replied, collecting my papers. The filing covers everything. In the parking lot, Julia caught up to me. You went through my phone? She demanded, trembling. No, I said. You brought your affair into our home network, which I manage. Into our cloud storage, which I set up. It was all there without touching your phone. Those were private. She snapped. On systems and accounts I built and paid for, I countered, unlocking my car. Just like you've been with your yoga instructor in a home funded by my work while plotting to ambush me with a divorce. It wasn't. She began, then stopped. T isn't just my instructor. I know exactly who he is, I said. The guy whose apartment is too small for your lifestyle. The one you planned your exit with. The one not answering your calls now that things are messy. Her expression confirmed it. You said we should part ways before I lost my self-respect. I continued, opening my car door. Thanks for the advice. I'm following it. Within 2 days, we signed the settlement. No spousal support. Fair asset split. Clean break. That was 6 weeks ago. I've relocated to a new apartment, updated my email, and joined a different gym. I haven't spoken to Julia since the parking lot. Mutual friends say she didn't move in with T after all. Apparently, he's giving her space to handle her divorce. Translation: he wanted a fling, not a live-in partner. Last week, a handwritten letter from her arrived at my office. I recognized her script on the envelope. After a moment's thought, I fed it into the shredder, unopened. Some chapters don't need a closing note. Update 5 weeks later. I hadn't planned to share more, but recent events merit it. First, thank you for the supportive messages. The comments calling me ruthless or overly strategic made me chuckle. When your spouse is scheming to upend your life while cheating, precision is the rational response. Some asked about Julia's family. Her father called repeatedly that first week, leaving voicemails urging me to save the marriage. I finally picked up once and said, "Ask Julia about T." The calls stopped. Her older sister, who I'd always clicked with, texted. Heard what went down. She's always been this way. Sorry, Ethan. We grabbed drinks last week. She's still like family, even if Julia isn't. The bigger news: Laura, Julia's attorney, is facing professional fallout. Apparently, strategizing a divorce with a non-client raises ethical red flags. Mark says she's under scrutiny by the state bar. Actions have consequences. As for T, the yoga instructor, Julia's move-in plans fizzled when reality hit. Her sister says T claimed he needed time to focus on himself. 2 weeks after our divorce was final, he was already dating someone new from the gym. Julia's been broadcasting regret through various channels, another letter, emails, messages via friends. The tone shifted from accusatory, "You blindsided me," to defensive, "You don't know everything," to pleading, "Just talk to me." I've stayed silent. Not out of spite, but because there's nothing left to discuss. Her latest move was sending a package to my office with keepsakes from our relationship. Old concert stubs, photos from our early days, a keychain I'd thought I'd lost years ago. The note read, "Found these while packing. Thought you'd want them." I donated the keychain to charity, shredded the photos, and went on with my day. Some asked if I'm dating again. Not yet. I'm focused on rebuilding new place, new workout routine, reconnecting with friends I'd lost touch with during the marriage. I'm exploring a job opportunity one couldn't have considered with Julia, who always insisted on staying near her family. The divorce finalized smoothly. The evidence was so airtight her side had no room to negotiate. Did I ever confront her about everything I found? No. The filing and evidence spoke louder than words ever could. For those asking about missed red flags, there were subtle ones. Guarded phone behavior, a sudden passion for yoga after years of avoiding exercise, new outfits I never saw her wear, girls' trips with carefully staged social media posts. Nothing blatant, just clues I didn't piece together until that notification. One comment suggested this sounds too polished to be real. When your career revolves around risk assessment and data security, a methodical response is second nature. I didn't yell, smash things, or stage a showdown. I evaluated the situation, gathered intel, consulted an expert, and acted decisively. Life isn't a drama series. Sometimes the best move is to protect yourself quietly and walk away with your head high. Brief answers to common questions. Yes, we had a prenup, but the settlement we reached made it largely moot, as she signed to avoid public exposure of the evidence. No kids were involved, which kept things simpler. To those saying I should have fought for the marriage, what was there to fight for? A relationship where my spouse was cheating and plotting to ambush me? That's not worth saving. About the snooping accusations, I never touched her phone after that first notification. All evidence came from our shared network, cloud, and location data she never disabled. Digital footprints are vast, and most people underestimate them. Did I suspect T specifically? In hindsight, yes. He'd text during dinners, always passed off as work or gym stuff. She mentioned him too often, too casually. Signs I missed in the moment. Final takeaway. Many asked what I learned. Simple. Judge people by their actions, not their words. Julia claimed she loved me, but her behavior told a different story. I said little in those final days, but my actions ensured I walked away with my security and self-respect intact. What we do matters more than what we say.